Go ahead and actually, you can clip her to the same ring that your short leash is on.
Okay.
And then I would remove the poop bag holder here, because we're going to leave that leash on as well.
Yeah, it broke, so it's all tied
Oh,
up.
okay, no, that's fine.
Okay.
It'll just be dragging and stuff.
Do we need that one?
Let me see if I have a short leash. Or actually, clip your short leash, the other one, that purple one.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll swap that one out, yeah.
Okay.
And what we'll do, I think I might have a long one, or not. Nope, I lied. Oh wait, no, I got one here. My bad.
No, this is.
I just feel stupid.
We can just use this one then.
We can actually, because they're both to be dragging.
Oh, okay.
Then what we'll do is, I have a 30-foot here.
Oh, okay.
We'll use this for session, and then you can use your setup when we're working with.
Okay.
It'll make no sense when you start. The reason why I like 30 feet is it's more realistic in terms of distance.
Okay.
20 feet, it's long, but most of the time people's dogs are even like further than that. Yeah. So I like a nice 30-foot. Okay. Who's going to be doing the first recall? So go ahead and grab your short leash for a second. I'm going to show you a couple of things. And you're rolling ready?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mine.
So, yeah, so I'm going to show you, so if you're doing the first recall, you're actually using this one, but I'm going to show you how to handle the long leash, okay? So what I like to do is, I typically hold the remote in my right hand, okay? And I loop the leash around my right thumb. This acts as a lock. So in case Winnie were to like take off or anything, if you hold your leash like this, you're gonna get leash burn or rope burn. Okay, and I've had that happen a few times. So this is like our secondary, right? And so like, if I'm holding the leash and she starts to go, instead of trying to hold it, I let this go because she's not gonna pull this out here with her thumb like that. Okay? When people like do stuff like this, that's more likely to slide off her hand, or to hold the leash like this, and that'll pop out like that with all the momentum. So the way I go about it is I have the leash here over my thumb, I have the remote right here. And with this hand, my left hand, what I'm doing is I got my remote here with these fingers. As Winnie's moving towards you, I'm grabbing and just throwing on the ground like this. Okay? Once you stop moving, I want you to get used to going and locking your leash like this. Okay? So it's over your hand, then you go over your pointer finger, and then you just close around it. So you're creating the same thing that your thumb is doing. Okay? What this does is it locks your leash. Okay? So again, if Winnie were to take off, this you might get jolted, but it won't rip through your hand. Okay? If for whatever reason, I had one client who didn't get a good grip, it was like kind of soft, and it started to feed through, so they just let that go because they know they had this. Okay, so this is a precautionary measure. So the way we go about this is, if you would please just pull the leash out from under her feet here. Is we want to teach Winnie here that e-collar also needs to come to you. And if we pretend like I'm 30 feet away, and I pull the leash like right here, I can feel a bit of tension on the back of her neck. Okay, it's not a lot, just a little bit. We want to time that tension on her neck with the tapping. Okay, so if I'm 30 feet back, right, I pull lightly and I start remoting until Winnie starts to move towards me. Once she moves towards me, I stop tapping and I move backwards. And as I'm moving backwards, I'm reeling in that leash like this. Okay. And then once I stop, I just, no matter if it's, if you're 5 feet or 10 feet, you just automatically lock it, okay? The reason for the locking is, or the reeling in, is if I have 30 feet of leash, Winnie now has 30 feet of leash to go that way. Okay, so I'm shortening it to make it easier for her to figure out what the issue is, which is just a return. The directional pressure on her neck is because for the past couple of weeks, the e-collar is meant to come to your left side. Yep. So we need something to direct her into, you're not moving to the left side, you're actually moving towards me. Yep. Okay. Moving backwards gives Winnie something to attach to. So like when you're doing the heel, Winnie went one way, and you went the other way, and eventually tapping or leash tension would turn her around and bring her back this way. So we're kind of doing the same thing here, except you're going to be actively facing Winnie, okay? So she's moving towards you. I take a few steps back. I'll come to a stop once I feel like she's going to come the rest of the way. If Winnie were to stop halfway, I'd start tapping and pulling again. She moves towards you. You come to a stop. She comes all the way. Good girl, okay? During this exercise, you always want to be facing Winnie, but moving away from her, okay? So like if she came to you, but then went over that way, you would turn like this, start tapping, and you would move this way. Okay, so always facing, but moving away from. So we got the leash pulling, got the tension, we got the reeling of the leash, we got locking it. We're not saying any words here.
Okay.
We're just teaching first with the remote. We're going to layer in the word by the second half of the class. But I want to make sure that it's the tapping itself that's getting Winnie to come towards you. Exactly. Yeah. We're just conditioning her. When you feel this, it means to do this. The reason for the second leash or the short leash is because at some point Winnie will get savvy to the exercise, and you'll try to like walk with her, and she's going to run to the other person because she knows you're going to call her. So we use the second short leash to keep her away so that we can practice this repeatedly.
Gotcha.
Okay? Questions? Yes. So you're not going to get everything all at once. You're going to make mistakes. The main things to focus on in the beginning are the leash pressure, the tapping, and then the like throwing it down on the ground as she's moving towards you. Okay? And then the stuff will add in as you do it more, because it's like 5 different things you have to think about all at once. Okay? So go ahead and go to the end of your 30-foot leash here. Right, about there, that's good. The hold, yep, we're gonna wait a moment. And on your long leash, you're just gonna put a little bit of pressure. Right there, you can see how you can feel it, right?
Yeah.
Now you're gonna start tap, 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 tap. A little bit more of a pull, tap, tap. There you go. Now backwards. Good. Hold right there. Like that. Wait a moment. Good girl. Good praise.
Girl, Winnie. Good girl.
What's your number?
I think she's at 14 still.
She's at 14?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get down to 10.
Yeah. I think I got her to 20 at one point. That was it.
Okay.
But everything, she reacts just like that. So.
Okay. We'll go down a little bit lower so you can get. Now you're gonna say the word break.
Break.
Break. Good. And we're gonna bring Winnie back this way. We're gonna repeat that. Okay. We're gonna see if we can get her a little bit lower at 10.
Okay.
Yeah, girl. Good. And we're gonna repeat that a couple more times. Okay. Now back. 1, 2, that's good. Right there. Good praise. Good. We're going to repeat that 3 more times. Uh-oh. Yeah. Careful. There you go.
Okay,
Girl,
break.
Winnie.
Break, break.
Go ahead.
Break, go ahead. Give me. There's my good girl. Sorry, I'm not too good at the reeling it in.
No, it's a lot of stuff to think about, so.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Glad I didn't work out.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Right there.
Girl,
And where she lands doesn't matter. Okay, I just want her to be in your immediate space. Yeah. We're going to do 2 more.
Okay, Winnie, go ahead.
Break, break, come here.
Winnie, come. Come here.
Break, break.
Where's my
Good
good
girl.
girl? Where's my win?
Good girl.
Where's my
Good girl.
Go backward.
huh? Heck?
Yep. Good. Now back. 1, 2,
I didn't tap
that's good.
there.
Girl, Winnie.
Right,
I didn't
one
tap
more.
that one.
What's that?
I didn't tap that time.
Okay, so you want to tap, okay? So
Okay.
every time we do this, you always want to tap.
Kind of went before I left.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's go ahead and bring it back.
Go ahead, Winnie.
Give me.
Where's my Winnie? Winnie, come. Good girls.
Yeah, you see how this is already anticipated. Wait a moment. And tap, tap. Good, right there. Hold right there. And raise.
Good girl, Winnie.
Good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to keep the same handler. But what you're going to do is we're going to reverse it now. So before it was pull, then tap. Now we're going to tap, then pull. Okay, so you're going to tap 2 times. If you don't see a response by the second tap, keep tapping and then pull. Okay?
Okay, Winnie, go ahead.
Give me. She's a good girl. Give me. Oh, yes, she is.
Had a girl. Good.
Yes, my good. Come here. Get over here.
Good girl.
Good girl. Yes.
Tap, tap.
There you go. That was a good one. Add a girl.
Girl, Winnie.
Wait a moment. And praise. Add a girl.
Good girl,
job.
Winnie. Good girl.
Good.
Okay, Winnie, go ahead.
Right.
Come here.
We're going to do that 4 more times, then we're going to swap.
All right, good girl. Come here. Oh, yes, good girl. Come here. Come here.
Add a girl. Good job.
It's a little puff.
That was a premature one, right? So go ahead and bring her back.
Come here, Win. Come here.
So she's already getting savvy to the exercise here. And then once you start tapping, go ahead and say so he knows to let go of the leash.
Okay. Alright, tap in.
Yep. There we go. Add a girl. Good job.
Girl, Winnie.
Good girl.
Alright, free.
Good.
Go ahead.
3 more.
Winnie, come. Come on.
Good girl. Good girl.
Good
Add a
girl.
girl. 2.
Come here. Come here. Where's my good girl?
Right.
Tap in.
Yep. Tap. There we go. Good. Add a girl. Hold right there. Add a girl. Praise. Good girl. Good.
Free.
2 more.
Come on, Winnie, go ahead. Winnie, come.
Try pulling in your leash as you walk.
Come
Yep.
on.
Pull, pull, pull. Pull. There she goes. Add a girl. Good girl.
Tap in.
There we go. Good. Good speed. Good. Great.
Girl, Winnie, good girl.
Good. Ready? 1 more, then we'll swap.
Okay, Winnie, come. Come on. Go ahead.
Break, break, break. Come on. Yep. Pull, pull. Add a girl. Good girl.
Come here.
Tap in.
Yep. Nice. Good. Add a girl. Hold right there. Beautiful. And praise. Add a girl. Good. And break.
Okay, Winnie, go ahead. Come on.
Good. So we're going to go in and swap here, and we're going to go back a step. So you're going to start with the pull and the tap.
Okay.
So we'll do that a few times, and then we're going to progress to the tap before the pull.
Okay.
And she's probably going to get a little confused because she's been coming to you for the past, few times. So after we get that down, then we'll start layering in the work. Okay.
Girl, Winnie.
But she's got good speed. Right when you started that first tap, you started going. So that was all good.
Winnie.
She's like, he's got the long leash. And a girl. Good
So
girl.
I'm just holding them.
Yep. And a girl. Good job. So pull and then tap. Pull. And then wait, 1 second. Let her settle for a second. Pull back. Yep. Wait a moment. We're going to hold for a second. Okay. So if you start to see her get really edgy like that, it's because she knows the tap's going to happen, right?
Right.
So what I'll do is I'll add a little bit of a delay so it doesn't become like a sequence. And then I'll do the real subtle pull with the tap just so she gets to settle. Okay, otherwise you'll see her prematurely just running back and forth.
Gotcha.
Okay? going to move back. Tap, 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 like that. Hold. There you go. And ready. Break and a couple more times.
Good fix the electric now.
Tap back. Right there. Hold. And ready. Good. Ready? One more. Up, good, back, good. Hold right there. And pray. Good, and break. Good. So now you're gonna go to the second form where you're gonna tap first
Okay.
before that pressure comes in. And then we'll give her a break. We'll talk about practicing and stuff, then we'll move on to adding the word in.
Okay.
Okay. Ready, Tammy?
Good. And pray. Good.
Alright, Tammy.
Good. Good girl. Good. Three more. Uh-oh.
Tap it.
No.
God, you like holding on.
Try it again.
Try to go. Come here, Winnie.
Tammy.
There you go. That was a good one. That's a girl. Yeah, so the top is going with the wood break. Uh-oh.
Ah.
Once you start saying come, it's going to be a lot easier. That always gets people.
All right.
Wait, wait. Just let it relax for a moment. Hold. Good job. Right.
Alright, Tammy.
There we go. Atta girl. Good job. Good girl. Good. Good. And last one. Almost. Yeah, good job.
Final.
Alright, Tammy.
Atta girl. Excellent. We'll go ahead and bring her on over. So, all we're doing is laying the foundation. Okay. So, for the long leash, it allows you to replicate more realistic, like she's going to be away from you.
Okay.
I think 30 feet is the perfect length. Taking your leash that you have, putting your other ones to it, give you that same 30 to 42 foot length. This is not realistic, and this is part of the reason why she's so edgy. Because every time you take her apart, or away from each other, you're gonna call me right away. So then she's like anticipating, she's getting stressed out about it. So this exercise, I really don't. If you have to practice that way, it's fine. Like that's how we work with it. Like if you can't, or if you don't have distractions to help, we can force the distance by using two people. Okay. Otherwise, when I work with dogs personally, it would be I go to a place like this. I look for squirrels. I look for rabbits. Anything that would distract the dog, right? So if she loves chasing squirrels or has any kind of prey drive, I love to harness things like that and use it to my advantage. Okay. So let's say you go to Travis, you see a bunch of squirrels, you put her on the long leash. When you go, right, she's on break, she's jumping and barking up at the tree. I let her do that, and then I just sneak away and I'm just standing at the end of the leash. 1 minute, 5 minutes, 3 minutes. At any point in that behavior, I'll randomly give a recall. Okay, so she returns, good girl. I'll wait a little bit, because sometimes the dog, when you have them, when you're just not, when you give no direction, they'll want to go back to the distraction, whatever it is that you use. Okay, so I'll wait to make sure that she doesn't prematurely leave. If she does, so if I call her when she comes to me, great, and then like 10 seconds later she books it, I wouldn't repeat the come. I would just start remoting and moving backwards to bring her back to me.
Gotcha.
Okay, I wait again, break, and then I let her go right back to the squirrels again.
Okay.
So I'm using the distraction as reward as well. Okay, so you can do that both ways. And then I might give her another 10 minutes before I do another recall. Okay. Now, if you're working like this solo, you want to be mindful of how many times you practice, because if you practice like that too much, you're going to make her paranoid. She won't do anything. Okay. So, like, let's say you did 30 minutes, right? I might just give her 30 minutes on the long leash, running around and chasing things, whatever, and at the very end, I'll do one recall. Okay. Then we put her on leash. We walk home. The next time I'm there for 30 minutes, it might be 5 times. Then it might be 2 times. It might be 2 times. Then 1 time. Then 4 times. Yeah, I'm just randomizing how many times I'm gonna call her, because if you drill it 20 times every single walk, she's gonna be like, I know what this is. Yeah, okay. So it's kind of like this, right? Where she's prematurely just shooting back to the other person because she knows, I know you're gonna tap me, so I'm just gonna beat the punch and run right back to you, okay? So, and the longer you let her do a behavior, the more disconnected she gets from you, okay? So if she's like barking at a tree and then barking at a squirrel in the tree, the longer you let her do that, the more she forgets about you. So that's why I like to let them do it for like 10 minutes before I do a recall. Okay? If there's any, if possible.
No, I know. I'm thinking about it. Like the only thing, she doesn't go after trees.
It's a ball. Like if she was playing in the park.
All she does is play fetch.
Oh, sure.
And
Yeah,
it's
so
back
really
and
just
forth,
have her
back
at the
and forth,
park.
right?
Yeah,
doing
so
whatever, and
you can
then call
technically
her.
use it with the fetch, but we want to be mindful of how much you repeat it, right?
Yeah.
So like, let's say you go for 15 minutes and you're just throwing the ball, and then on one of them, like I'll have the long leash ready, and I'll throw it, and as she goes, and she's like halfway there,
Right,
3/4 of the
try
way
to
there,
get her.
then I do the recall.
That's her
Got
biggest
it, okay.
distraction.
Yeah.
It's a ball.
We just want to be careful of how much you practice that, because what'll happen is you throw the ball, she'll run for it, but then right away run back because she won't pursue it anymore. Okay. So it creates problems as we teach these things, because now we're putting rules and consequences and stuff that she's going to start thinking like, well, I don't want to make a mistake now. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you do try to implement it with the fetch, don't be discouraged if you see that. What I do is I just ignore the recall and I just try to get her back into the game. If she's like not having it, I just go inside. I try again the next day. Okay, and it's just literally just repeat, and so eventually she's like, oh, like recall isn't the end of the world. It's just come back when I call you, and then I can go right back to the ball again. Okay, so you can use stuff like that, because we're trying to build to like Winnie playing with dogs, or a group, or whatever the biggest distraction may be. Because if you try to jump from this straight to like playing with 5 dogs doing a recall, it'd be very, very difficult. Okay, you have to build to that stuff. There's other, and I'll show you this next class, but there's other ways that we can kind of recreate realistic scenarios, because people typically call their dog when they're chasing something, running towards something they shouldn't, or running away. It's almost the dog is moving away from them every time they need the recall to be functional. So I like to practice it when the dog's in either some kind of away motion or fully distracted by something. Okay? Any questions so far?
No, I guess more for like, I mean, I've just seen other dogs do it. For instance, like Otto trained him with Quentin.
Yeah.
He was like doing something he didn't want. Okay, come. and then he would come over, but then he'd go to you.
Oh yeah,
And then he'd be like, he'd keep tapping. Is it just you keep tapping until like
Yes.
it becomes like?
So one of the cons to the e-collar is, let's say Winnie's over by that tree. You got a person where Bill is, and you're here. You call Winnie, she runs to that person.
Right.
Which is what you're saying with Otto, right?
Yeah.
Because she's thinking going to the closest thing. So the way we fix that problem is, one, if I work with couples, that you really have to drill the recall from each other, because you're teaching her how to disengage from one person and go to something else.
Okay.
Or go to someone else, okay? So in that scenario, if I saw that with Otto, I would tell him, hey, you have to go back to the basics and find someone who can help you, and practice calling Otto, and then letting him make the mistake, and then using the leash to help guide him away.
Got it.
Because what he's thinking is, they called him, he goes to someone else, and he's thinking, I went to somebody, my job is done.
Right.
But it's, you got to come over here.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like oh, over there to over here. It was like, I'm here and
The
this
person's
is
right
Quentin,
there.
and it's just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he came to me, or he went to here, and then he came to me, and then he went to here. Then there's
Yes.
like 7 people around. So.
And one way you can help with that, by the way, for like if you had that happen to Quentin again, is I'll take the dog and I'll like bowling ball them to the person that is calling them.
Okay, got it.
When
The
you
other-
do that too, when she gets tapped, she'll just go to any
The
leg
closest person?
nearby
Yeah.
her.
Yes, yeah. Because she's thinking go to the nearest body to make this stop. So then we have to clarify all that stuff. Okay. So one way, if that happens with Winnie or Quentin, is you just take the dog and you bowling ball them to the owner.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing is Quentin moving backwards,
What do you mean?
or is he standing still when he's trying to get out of the go?
He's just standing there.
Okay, we want to move backwards.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, so every time we were doing the recall, you were moving back. So in that scenario where there's 7 people, if I call my dog and they see me doing this, what differentiates me from 7 people is I'm doing this.
Got it.
Okay, so that's also a very important part, so you can remind me of that.
Got it. Okay. Move backwards. Got it.
Now, and the other thing is, I'm not a fan of repeating, right? I'm all about say the command once, make the dog do it. But the exception would be if I called Winnie and she went to the wrong person, she thinks she technically completed the task. She went to somebody,
Yep.
but it was the wrong person. So I don't keep promoting. I actually issue the command again, because she's thinking she completed it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if she went to the wrong person, it would be when he comes again to restart it,
Yep.
Yeah.
and then moving backwards with the remoting to draw her to me.
Yeah.
Okay. If we see this being a problem, I always go back to the basics. Pop her back on the leash. Go out where you know that's going to be a problem, right? And like, hey, can you help me? I'm going to work with Winnie. She's probably going to run to you, because now you have the leash to help pull her away.
Got it.
She just needs to learn, if this happens, to disengage from one person and then to go to the person that's moving back.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, once she learns to disengage, go like, oh, I go to the voice, not the nearest person. Okay, so it's a super common problem.
Got it. Okay.
But since like almost everybody there's been trained, you got that little group tweaking session in terms of like, tweaking behaviors and meeting stuff. So, but yeah, that's how I go about fixing that.
Okay.
We have the bowling ball, and like you might find like you're going with Otto, and you'll literally feel him just kind of go forward. And as soon as I do that, I just let go, and then I stop going. But if you feel resistance, and you might be like 3 feet of Quentin before he actually goes forward, but that's when I would let go. Because
Okay.
every other time, I guarantee you, if you let go too soon,
Move right back
it'll
in.
come back to you.
Okay.
Okay. You can also use food just to incentivize her a bit more to return to either one of you.
Okay.
Okay, just to clarify, like, hey, it's me. So not yes, the remote stops, but I also got stuff for you.
Got it, okay.
So I don't mind using food. I just don't rely on it to get me reliable results.
Got it.
Okay, so it's great to incorporate, especially for the recall, because that's like the most important command that you can learn. With Winnie here, is cheese, stick, pieces of turkey, whatever. And when you call her, she comes to you, add a girl, good job, okay, break, go do your thing again. Okay. Other questions?
I guess how long would it be, or do you recommend like actually using the leash before just like letting her off in the park?
Correct.
And
So
like-
there's phases.
Okay.
Okay, and I've had most people skip the phases, but I'll give you the phases, okay? Because recall again is the most important command. It's also probably the most dangerous, right? Because if she's running towards like the street, you want to know that you have a solid recall. So we have the long leash phase, right, in your hand, so you can force the return, right? Reeling her in. Then we go to long leash dragging. So the leash is now on the ground because like right now she's running straight to you, right? And then you'll put the leash down and the leash will be right there and you'll call her and she'll turn around and you'll be tapping and she won't know what to do because the leash acts as a visual path leading to you. So when it's in your hand, no biggie, but when it's on the ground, all of a sudden she acts like she doesn't know what she's supposed to do, okay? So then we go to long leash dragging, then I go to no leash enclosed area to no leash unenclosed area.
Okay.
Those are the phases that I like to work with, okay? There's things, so earlier when you said, oh, she came to me, I didn't even tap. At this phase, we're always tapping because we're trying to force an issue. And that issue is if I'm Winnie, she's moving away, and you call her, right? And she moves very quickly, but then you tap her after she's returning, what do you think could happen?
She get confused.
Right. Now she's gonna go right away because she's thinking, I'm doing something wrong. So that's why at this phase, it's always when you come tap, because I'm trying to force the mistake of you're gonna one day tap her too late.
Right.
And I want to make sure that she knows tap always means to return, it never means to deflect, okay? And there's another thing that I do, which will come up in the next class, where again, we're trying to force the issue of confusion or panic to proof the obedience to make it as reliable as possible, okay? Because then if she's spooked about something, she's not only running away, but she's running away because she's scared, okay? It's one thing if she's running away because she's chasing a dog playing, another thing if she's actively running away to get away from something. And that's where things get a little tricky, and that's what we're trying to build for in case it ever happens, okay? Other questions? Oh,
Pretty
dog whisper over here.
I think
Nothing right now.
so.
Okay, so we're gonna go back. Now what we're gonna do here is same exercise, but now you're gonna issue the word come.
Okay.
Okay, so it's gonna be Winnie come, then the tapping, and then the leash pull if needed.
Okay.
If you tap and Winnie starts booking it towards you, all you need to do is just 3 steps down. You don't have to keep moving back. As long as you see she's moving towards you. If she stops and like detours or goes the wrong way, then you'd start tapping and move, face her and then continue to move backwards.
Okay.
Okay.
And so still issue the command and tap no matter what?
Correct. Yeah, we're going to be doing this for a few weeks. Where it's every time you call Winnie, it's tap, okay? Because we want to force the issue of we mistap, we confuse her, so that we can work through it and proof that obedience. Because the last thing you want is when Winnie's fully off leash and you call her and you tap too late or you confuse her. The last thing you want is to push her away from you. Okay, so this is going to help fix that.
So just do 2 taps before if she doesn't come.
Correct.
And does it also sometimes help too to like issue a different word? So I know like one of the guys who's got a lab to use back. Someone else uses maybe like here, opposed to actually like come.
Oh, sure.
Just like so she doesn't get confused if like 7 people are like come here and then she
I see what you're saying.
runs over like no, that wasn't me. Like you go playing.
Yeah. So if you want an original word,
Yeah.
you're more than welcome to one.
Okay.
Here and come are the most common.
Yeah.
If you have one in particular you want to use,
I was just
I feel like we say come already. I won't be able to like.
okay.
Well,
Yeah.
I could.
sure.
It's just natural now. I'm like, when do you come?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then she'll the other thing is she learns to recognize your tone of voice.
Yeah.
I mean,
And also,
it would be that over the word, right?
Yeah,
To
your
know
tone.
where to go to.
you also want to use an up note. So when you come, as opposed to when you come, because lower doesn't carry over noise. Okay. So like if there's like cars and traffic and dogs barking, you want to when you come something that carries over, and not a deep. I had somebody that used to like go here. It's not going to work when stuff's too busy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess another question though.
Yep.
I can whistle very loudly,
Oh, sure.
and like, how do we like later on? Like, how do I incorporate that? So,
Sure,
like,
so
instead
then-
of just being like a come, just like a
It would be the same process, except you would whistle, then tap, and then pull.
got it. Okay.
Yeah. So whatever cue, like let's say you changed it,
Yeah.
right? And you're like, I don't want to use come anymore. I want to use here.
Yeah.
You would just go back to this
Start
process.
over.
Here, tap, pull.
Got it.
But you already have the foundation down. You're just conditioning her like that. This
This is now the
now the cue or an
Gotcha.
additional cue.
okay.
Okay, and that will actually help with your question earlier about differentiating.
Right.
If you're whistling,
Oh yeah.
so that could be like your like if there's too many dogs there and you're like, yeah, I'm not gonna use come, I'm gonna use my whistle.
Yeah, because when like the dogs are running around, like all of a sudden they get by like the baseball diamond, and you're like, okay, well, that means like they're getting close to out. Like everyone's just
All
like,
of
get
them
over here,
are
hey, get over here.
rolling,
Oh, sure.
And I just want to be able to be like, I want to get above everyone else
Sure.
to cut through all the noise, and so she can hear.
Yeah, and if you, and like, let's say you did like an original whistle, you know, and you always use that whistle, like she will learn to recognize that's you.
Oh yeah.
Okay? But it just takes practice and
Right.
precision.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's what I
Do your
wanted.
whistle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's how my dad got us
Not
home
in
for
my
lunch.
not in
Did
my
it?
ear. I hate when he does it in my ear.
It worked.
Oh, so you're gonna take, who's doing the recall? Are you?
Okay.
Yeah. So then you'll take long leash. And you can actually just try calling here from Bill, and then I'll have you angle it out that way, so that she doesn't cross through the tripod there. I'll brace it.
Winnie, come.
Yeah, back 1, 2, 3. That's good. And praise. Now here, back, tap, tap, hold. Right. Now we're gonna pause right there because I think this happened earlier where she like broke away, and I think you did like a hut or something like that, like a correctional sound. Don't do the correctional sound.
Just back away.
Go straight to the remote and the back away. Yep. Okay. Break.
All right,
Good. We're gonna do that 4 more times.
Winnie, come.
Right. There you go. Good. Had a girl and praise. Good job. Good. 3 more.
Go ahead. Winnie, come.
Tap, tap, tap. Good. Right there. Good. Just a couple more.
I don't know how you snuck out of that one.
Oh, yeah.
Winnie, come.
Tap, tap. Good. Now turn, back tap. Wait right there. Hold, back tap. Hold. Tap, 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 back, tap, tap, back, tap, 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 back, tap, tap. There you go. You got it. Wait right there. Now praise. Atta girl. That was good. We're good. 2 more times. Break.
So what do you think? Like suddenly.
Yeah, where she's like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
That's why we practice.
Winnie, come.
Right. Up, back tap, 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 back tap. There she goes. Atta girl. And praise. So you saw how she fanned out?
Yeah.
Because she was trying to get away. So that's flight response.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the stuff that I want to see because that's how we fix it.
Yep.
Right. So if it's happening now, we can force the return with the leash. Otherwise, if we don't ever see that stuff,
Yeah.
no problem. Okay. We're gonna do 1 more, then we'll swap.
Okay.
Winnie, break.
Break.
Just getting over this.
I know.
Winnie, come.
Atta girl. And praise. Good. Let's go and swap handlers. We'll do the same thing.
Winnie, break.
And it's funny because she did a bunch of them like really well, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden she like just does a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
It's like,
that's
where did that
like
come from?
random. That was good to practice though, like stepping back.
Winnie, come.
Right, yeah, the girl. Good break, good girl. Right, good. Good.
Winnie, come.
Got a girl, good. Good. Just 3 more.
Winnie, come.
Good. Good, 2 more.
Winnie, come.
And a girl. Very good. Break, last one.
Winnie, come.
Good. Now here, go to hold right there. Go to Fraser. And what you're gonna do here is go ahead and let the slack go in the long leash, and then go ahead and step to Winnie's right side so she's in heel position. Good. And you're gonna step over your leash so it's behind you, and you're gonna say heel and just start walking with Winnie.
So, like right here?
Yep.
Okay. Heel.
Tap forward, tap. Good. And I'm gonna have you just practice like you would on the short leash, okay? Like
Okay.
walking and turning and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yep. Good turn. Crossover. Good. You'll try heel here, and then I'll have you pick up your pace, okay?
Okay. Winnie, heel.
Good pivot. Good. And come straight this way and walk past Mom with Winnie on the inside. Very good. Good. Now hold right there. So, with this tool, you get up to off leash. Okay? That includes the heel and like any command that you would cover, you should need to practice. Okay? So here, what you did on class 1 is the same method that I used to train off the dog. Okay? So here, all we're doing is changing the length of the leash. So we went from a standard 6-foot leash to a 30-foot leash. Okay? So if you would like to be able to have Winnie heel off leash, this is how we start to transition. Okay? So if you go to the park with her, and it's, you know, she's running around, you practice a recall, and you can let her go back, or you can throw in, let's heel for a little bit. Walk around Trevis or whatever, right? Walking past other dogs, other people, walking past each other. Because most dogs tend to run to the other owner. Okay, so like I bet you if you tried that and like you crouch down, she might just deflect. Okay, so I do that stuff to force mistakes so I can prove it. But now, so if Winnie, like if I'm walking and she went towards me, I would keep going and if needed, I can feel the leash as well to help give her a little bit more direction. But most people tend to stop and want to keep momentum.
Yep.
Okay.
when we practice that, I'll have to handle her because she'll be more distracted than I'm not the
You're not the favorite?
favorite, no.
She knows when she goes out and I take her out and put it on. She knows like in training time.
Sure.
I feel like I'm more the
Weights
disciplinary.
of disciplinary.
Sure. So here, all that was really good. So it's just we're wanting to proof things, right? So we do the longer stuff. So like earlier, we had a bunch of great recalls, and then I think it kind of puts a false sense of security in the person's brain that they're thinking, oh, this is great. It's like direct every single time.
Right, it's good to see.
But I'm going,
I
no,
see why.
there's going to be
Yeah.
mistakes, and that's the
Especially when there's
mistake.
distractions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that lets you know, like, oh yeah, there is work to be done.
Yeah.
Right? So the more often you go out to practice with her, the more often you're putting yourself in a situation where she's going to make a mistake.
Right.
In my opinion, I think in the beginning it's best when you're learning to recall is that you don't apply it when you can't reinforce it or make it happen. Okay. Most importantly, make it happen at this stage. So like, let's say you see like Nash and Shadow or something, right? And you take out Winnie. She's under e-collar and everything. She's off the long leash. If you call her, you technically have a means of reinforcing, but can you make her return? Is the next thing. So if she's playing with them and she's distracting, like Winnie, come and you're remoting, and you have to jack it up. Well, we don't know if she's gonna go away, right? So what I do instead is, if I need the dog, but I'm not there yet, I just go, and if I have to chase them, I chase them. I don't ever call them, and I don't get mad. If they're playing the keep-away game, I just go pursue them, and eventually I grab them, leash them up, and we go home. But dogs learn by, one of the ways to learn is consistency. So they don't know about the leash and stuff in the sense of like it's a part of it. It's just, they just think every time you call me, I always have to return. Every time you call me, I always return. There's never like, well, that one time you called me and I didn't respond, and then you came and got me. Because that's what they'll learn. So like, the clients go to the dog park, they let the dog run around, they call their dog, the dog's like, and then they keep running around, and then the owner goes again. So the dog learns, I can ignore it, and then you'll do the work, right? But if you don't call her, you just go grab her, she doesn't come out. Okay? So if she's out having fun with her friends and we're still in this learning phase, I recommend you do not call her. Instead, just go grab her, leash her up, feed until we practice.
So you would try calling her, and if she does it, you just never say again, like to wait.
No, like I would completely wait.
Okay.
Right?
When they're playing with other dogs.
Right, because you're trying to build them, right? Because that's the most distracting environment you have, right? Is like all the dogs around. Because if you call her and she hears you, she's like, but I'm having fun, and she keeps running around, and then you go get her, she learns that, right? So I avoid it. I just grab her and leave, and I just keep practicing. Eventually, it's like, okay, when you come, it doesn't matter if it's 2 dogs or 10 dogs, you both get her. Okay? So recall tends to take people the longest because you can't repeat it so much because you'll make it permanent.
Right.
Or for you guys, if you're lucky because you're right across the crevice, but most clients have to travel somewhere.
To get her distracted.
Exactly. So you guys have it right in front of you, so you're gonna have a faster progression. But recall almost always takes people the longest to practice to get to be fully reliable. Okay? Questions about any of that so far?
Yeah. I mean, there's always
It's not recall. Like when I was out with her practicing, just like the heel and having her stay when I stop.
Uh-huh.
For me, it was hard when like you do round the corner and then suddenly there's Nash or Shadow,
Oh, sure.
you know, and you're like not ready to.
Sure.
And then you lose her, but you didn't even like
Gotcha.
have the time to think
Sure.
about.
So what you would do is if you turn that corner, right, let's say we're going left, and it's Nash, and she just goes, you just
have
the
to
other way,
turn around,
and then
settle
just-
her, and then let
yeah.
her go.
You know, if anything, if you keep trying to repeat that as well,
Yeah.
and she keeps
It like feels
going,
weird to see them be like.
yeah.
But
And
yeah.
I'm sure if you
they'll
told them,
understand.
No, I know they will. It's just like it's hard to have a reaction when you like run into something.
yeah,
Like,
they'll
"Ah,
absolutely know
I
what you're
didn't."
doing, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, if it keeps happening, it means the number's too low.
Okay.
So if she keeps wanting to pull towards Nash because he's like a really big distraction, and you know, because I could see on 14 she was too sensitive,
Yeah.
so we went down to 10, and 10 was doing great here, right?
Yeah.
But 10 may not be applicable when Nash and Shadow are around or
Right.
Luna's around, stuff like that. So then she's going to need a bit more power, so you just accommodate to the situation.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, if that happens, just 180 and as best you can start tapping and bumping
Okay.
until you get her to return, and then turn again and try to walk past to see if she'll keep on you.
Okay.
And if you repeat that a couple of times and then stop, then break, exactly, then she goes, oh, I just can't be impulsive. It doesn't mean I can't be think Nash, it just means I can't be impulsive. Okay? Other questions?
That was my big thing when I practiced.
Okay.
Just being
Yeah, I mean,
prepared for destruction.
So if I'm doing like a lot of recall with her in the morning, because usually there's like one jog out there,
Sure, yeah.
and usually it's just like much easier for me then to like have the leash so it's not getting tangled with people, etc.
Yeah.
Will that then easily transfer over to when Colette does it, because I'm the one who say Winnie come all the time?
Right. So the foundation will be there.
Okay.
It's just now she needs to transfer to you, and the e-collar will make that easier.
Yeah.
But
I watched them practice.
what I've noticed is that, like, let's say you do most of the recalls. Let's say you're out together and you call Winnie, but you've done more training with recall. Probably never you.
Okay.
That same kind of problem that Otto had. In his case, it was Otto went to the closest person, and here she's going, well, I'm going to go to Dad because I've done the most recall with him. Okay. So if that happens, then it just means we have to balance it out a bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
He
Would you
works
consider
from
that
home, I
like?
have to go to work, so he is like way more
Sure.
witty.
I mean, would you consider that to be a, I guess, like a failure? Not a failure, but like she didn't accomplish the task. If we're walking together, standing apart, she yells "come" and she comes and just goes right by my side.
Technically, yes, right? Because she's supposed to respond to the person
Well,
who cued it.
So I just back up.
Yeah. And that's where that, and if you see it, if it seems like something that's a consistent problem, that's where I go back to the long leash.
Okay.
And we just, go into that contact and we practice. We keep practicing, so eventually she's solid between going between the both of you. Okay. Other questions?
I'm sorry, no.
So with practicing, just be mindful not to drill it too much.
Yeah.
If you see her look like she's getting like apprehensive and like not wanting to leave your side, it's a pro and a con. So when we teach the recall is actually part of the reason why dogs don't run away, because they're more tuned into their owner. Okay? But the problem can become, well, now she's too paranoid that I can't practice recall.
Right.
Because she's leads me, right? Is if that happens, is I might go a few days of just going with Winnie and ignoring her and letting her be a dog and stuff, not doing any recalls. If she comes to you thinking like, did you call me? I ignore her. If you praise her because you like that, you're actually telling her, yeah, you should do this, right? And I want her to get comfortable. So now you're having to build comfort so that she goes back to being nice and loose so that you can go back to practicing recall. So then, let's say that happens, you give it a few days, you start to see her ease up and walk away from you. Well, I wouldn't put a recall there, she just started easing up. Give her a few more days, let her get really relaxed, okay? So like when I work with dogs that the owner will tell them break, like they just forget about their owners. They just run up. And I go, it sucks because the owner's like, what the hell? Like, the dog don't care about me. I'm like, well, it's actually pretty good because it means you can practice your recall and you're not worried about drilling it so the dog becomes apprehensive. Okay? You can also switch it up by doing some long leash heel work. Everything stays the same except now Winnie can get up to 30 feet away from you. Okay, so that's why we have that leash in our right hand. If she goes off, like let's say I'm walking this way and she runs off that way, what I'll do is I'll turn inward or you can pivot too. To give her back that left side visual and start tapping until she focuses the gap. Okay, whether it's 15 feet, 30 feet, 5 feet. Now we're teaching her how to correct the problem when she's at a 30-foot distance. Okay, because so far it's been 2 weeks on a short line. So she knows how to correct that. But as soon as you go to this, she has more options now. Kind of like that one recall you did and she fanned out towards that tree. Because she had the full 30 feet, so she was choosing that option. And I'm going, nope, you have to return. That's not an option. So then eventually she goes, okay, this isn't working. And she comes towards you and everything disappears. Okay? Anything else?
Okay, go. I think the hardest part is to find the right amount to do it and to not.
And that's
switch
again
it
why
up
it
a
takes
lot.
longer to practice the recall. But definitely something you want to take the time to make sure you practice correctly. Most of my clients after a couple of weeks are like, yeah, it's good. And they just want to use it. And I'm like, okay, but be careful.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah, I
point.
could see thinking it's great and then one time.
Yay,
No.
get to
Yeah.
play!
And then like, and you get forced to return, you know, especially now because she's got a foundation. So like, that happened with Melissa Nash when he took off on her, and I don't think we had covered the recall yet. And she had to 127 continue with him.
Oh, that was.
And then she told me about it. She's like, I don't know if that was right or wrong. I'm like, well, it's either that or you gamble with losing your dog.
Right. Oh yeah, I was there. He ran across the street.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you were there first.
Yeah. Saw friends in the park, and he was on the stoop, and just, oh, I'm going across the street, and she just, I think the problem was fiddled with it, and then she like hit it, nope, cranked it,
Yep.
then hit it again,
Yep.
and he was already across the street, like almost in the park, and
Yep.
you heard a yelp and a squeaking.
And then he was back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he ran across the street again.
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
back,
that's
like,
the bad part, right?
So.
But yeah, I remember she told me about that. She's like, I don't know if that was right or wrong. I'm like, well, it's in that situation, like, you had to. So there's ways of making the dog return. It's just not pleasant. Okay. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I've been doing like some, like, I mean, we go across the street, and like, if we're walking back from the park,
Sure.
I tend to sometimes not put the leash on,
Sure.
knowing that it's 7:30 and there's not many cars out,
Right.
and I make sure I look like, okay, and then, but she's right by my side, like,
Yep.
the whole time, and
Yep.
so we're kind of working on that too,
Sure.
but, you know, within a kind of an enclosed.
Controlled. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm fine. Like so I've had clients after the first class already walking their dogs off leash.
Okay.
The biggest thing is their confidence.
Okay.
Because I know where I think, you know, that if something went south, they're gonna use the remote.
Yeah.
Whereas I get clients who are apprehensive with it.
Okay.
You know, and if for them, if something happens, they're not gonna go for the remote, they're gonna go for the dog.
Yeah.
So that's the difference, you know, with like the different personality types of people.
Right, okay.
Is I personally don't care because yes, it does work that fast.
Uh-huh.
I just give people the steps because I don't want someone to try it and then they're like, Jesse,
Yeah.
I took my dog off leash and after this class he ran away and I'm like, that's why we do this stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But yeah, like I can have a dog off leash trained in 2 days
Okay.
myself
Yeah.
because it is very fast. It's just I already know all the problems that will occur and how to fix them, and I'm trying to get you guys to like learn all that stuff so
Right,
that
right.
never ever happens.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Otherwise, she's doing really good.
Yeah.
Heel looks good. The recall looked good. Her speed was good. So next class is going to be the second half of recall.
Okay.
And then once we get that down, then the last two cover like some other stuff you know,
Okay.
Okay.
go over.
Yeah, we gotta think about that then.
The next, usually it's the three, like the trifecta of dog training is walk with me, come to me, and don't move.
Got it.
Okay, those are the three. So for like 5 and 6, if you want stationary control, we can work on something like put down or place command so that she can go somewhere and not move.
Okay. Yeah.
And then usually it's like an overview of stuff, just to review everything, make sure we're practicing everything correctly. Because just like you can train her on the stuff you want her to do, you can train her on the stuff that you don't want her to do. It's
Right.
usually just through bad habits.
Okay. Yeah. 'Cause I was gonna, I mean, we will get there, but like, you know, we don't let her on the couch or the bed or anything.
Oh, sure.
And I'm fine with letting her up, but I also want it to be an invitation,
Yeah,
not a right.
For sure.
So like, kind of like place, like, but then having she has one spot on the couch she can go to because there's a blanket down.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And
Yeah.
not the other part because that's not her spot.
Yeah,
she
you can
can
teach
go
that.
here. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, just like tips from you on how to go about doing that and facilitating it.
For sure. So what I would do for now is keep correcting if she gets up uninvited. And
She doesn't get it.
she doesn't get up. Okay,
Even
cool.
when we try to
That makes
invite
things
her.
I
easier.
try to invite her because we're like, okay, well, we're ready to like invite Winnie up.
Yeah.
We just don't want her as a puppy up. And I couldn't get her up on the couch with me. I like put a treat on the couch and
Sure.
she like
She wasn't
is a,
doing it?
Sorry,
yeah.
Daddy.
So I was like, I want to cuddle with you on the couch and you won't even come up.
Yeah. Yeah, we can teach that. It's not a problem. It's fairly simple. Most likely touch on that by class 5 then.
Okay.
As long as they recall and everything's going good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if there's anything you want to correct with behavior-wise, just let me know because I have other things that I can send you to go over that.
I mean, I guess not necessarily. Like, can't think of like something that I want to say don't do.
Uh-huh.
But it's just like minor things. Like if my niece, she's 2.5. It's like if she's playing with her and then all of a sudden she starts licking her face and like kind of like nibbling
sure.
on her ears. It's like, what's the best way to like, even if because typically if she's inside she doesn't have a collar on.
Sure.
So what would be the best way to like kind of stop her from doing that?
Sure. So I'll send you some videos.
Okay.
On a thing called a bonker. It's just a rolled up towel.
Yep.
Melissa used it on Nash.
Yeah.
And so aversives are meant to stop things. So if she doesn't have her collar on and she's like licking or jumping or whatever, you would use the bonker to then correct her.
Okay.
Okay. So it's kind of like a dog biting her, but it's a rolled up towel.
Right.
So I have 3 videos that I send to clients: how to
Okay.
make one, how to use one, and one of a trainer actively using one. And you see just how much correctional force he puts behind it, because people will just tap the dog and expect that to
Yeah.
work. And like dogs fight each other, like you need a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
And you do it appropriate to the dog and the personality type. So she might be very susceptible to like a little pop, or she might need a very firm one.
Right.
Okay. So in the video you'll see,
Okay.
oh wow, like this guy put some intensity behind it. That's how he's able to stop the behavior.
Yeah,
So I can send that to you tonight. And then just think to yourself, anything within the home that you don't want, licking of the face, jumping,
Yeah.
counter surfing, whatever it is you want to stop,
Yeah.
is what you would use this for.
Okay.
Okay? Alrighty, guys.
Yeah,
Good to see you
thank
again.
you.
Good work. We'll see you in a week.
Yep.
And if anything pops up, let us know, okay?
Okay.